Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Wednesday, and all of our guests today, including Craig Button, standing by, brought to you by the Alberni Power and Marine RPM Group. Located in Port Alberni, Alberni Power and Marine is one of Vancouver Island's most trusted boat dealerships, the largest Mercury Marine dealership in Canada. Their service team just won for the fourth straight year a customer satisfaction index score above the national average. Make your appointment for the 2022 boating season at albernipowermarine.com. He's TSN scouting director. He's been covering the OHL Final. I don't know if you've seen any of that on TSN, Rick. Between Windsor and Hamilton, It's Craig Button. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Donnie. How are you doing today?
Very well, very well. TSN doing a great job covering all the CHL playoffs. What stood out for you in that Ontario Hockey League final?
Well, I think coming into the final, Donnie and Rick, is that, you look at Hamilton, what a top team they were during the season, and then how they had just rolled through their first three series, not even losing a game. And I think going in that there was no question who the favorite was. Well, the beautiful thing about getting to a championship final is that the other team, Windsor in this case, has a say. And, Mark Savard said after they won the first game in overtime, there was a belief that they could compete with Hamilton. Keep in mind, these two teams did not play against one another during the course of the season, so they didn't really have any familiarity whatsoever to speak of. But this has been a tight series. It's been a series where the top players, Wyatt Johnson, Will Cooley for the Windsor Spitfires, Logan Morrison, Mason McTavish, Avery Hayes for the Hamilton Bulldogs have really shone throughout the series. And you got a game 7. Best two words in hockey, and it should be a real full building in Hamilton for Game 7. And it's going to be tight. It's going to be close. And I'd like to tell you who I think will win, but I really believe it's a toss-up. And keep in mind, Windsor's been here. They've done it. They were down 3-2 in the previous series, found a way to win Game 6, came back home and won Game 7. So this is not unfamiliar territory for the Windsor Spitfires. I think you'll see them throw caution to the wind, and I think Hamilton's going to have to be really, really sharp if they want to emerge as the champion of the Ontario Hockey League, where most people expected them to be at the beginning of the season and certainly at the beginning of the playoffs.
Craig, National Hockey League, Game 1, Stanley Cup Final. We're going to get to that in a second, but let's localize it here. Canucks sign right-handed defenseman from Sweden, Filip Johansson, drafted 24th overall by the Wild in 2018. What can you tell us? You are the scouting director. What can you tell us about him?
Well, when you look at Filip, I think when you're a first-round draft pick, there's certainly expectations that a player has of himself and a team has of that player when you're drafted at that part of the draft. And I think that a big part of it is Minnesota decides they're not going to sign him. But I think that expectations get tempered. And now you're looking at a player that, moves the puck well. He's not going to be a big offensive player. He just doesn't have that part in his game. But, when I look at the Vancouver Canucks and I look at their defense core in the prospect pool, they got to keep adding defensemen. This is a freebie. There is zero downside to adding a player at this age, that can come in, that obviously they've scouted for a period of time, right? So there's zero downside, and they got to keep adding. They got to keep adding defensemen if they want to kind of get that intersection between the goaltender and the forwards. You're not going to be you're not even going to be a playoff team, let alone a championship team, if you don't have good defensemen. And that's where the Vancouver Canucks have to go. That's what they have to do. And this is just one step in that. But, like I said, zero downside, good solid player that can move the puck. And, I think that with expectations tempered a little bit, not only from outside, but probably from within, he can just go and play and try to find a way to develop.
Craig, Bruce Cassidy was unemployed for exactly 6 days, okay? Vegas, their third coach in 5 years. Talk about the fit there between those two.
And I think it's a great fit. I mean, one of the things that Bruce Cassidy does that I think really makes him stand out as that top quality coach is that he understands, what players are capable of, and then he incorporates it into the team. And, there's none of this, you know what, we're going to, just kind of possess the puck and everything. Vegas has been a puck possession team, but when it got hard, they never got inside. When Bruce Cassidy took over the Boston Bruins from Claude Julien, Claude's a good coach, and Peter DeBoer's a good coach, and we know Gerard Glant's a good coach. What Bruce Cassidy did when he took over for Claude Julien, they attacked into the middle of the ice. They attacked inside the dots. They worked different areas of the ice to become a really good offensive team. And, Bruce is excellent. He's got creativity. He encourages creativity. The disciplines of the game and the fundamentals of the game, the details are never going to change. But Bruce opens it up. Bruce opens it up for the players, and he doesn't play it safe. He's not a guy that's going to play it safe. He's going to say, but if you're not attacking into the middle, and you're not attacking inside the dots, and you're not making plays in the slot area, the inner slot area, you're going to have to find ways to do it, because Bruce is going to give you schemes. He's going to give you opportunity to do it. And there's a lot of good players in Vegas. And I think that this is a really, really nice fit. In fact, I almost see it similarly to when he took over for Claude Julien. Peter's a good coach, but I think that Bruce can take this group and the team to another level, which is where they're trying to get to.
Craig, Donnie asked you about the OHL Final. I'm going to ask you about the Western Hockey League Final. Edmonton beat Seattle. They got a local kid here, Justin Sordiff, on that team as well. What kind of damage do you think Edmonton can do at the Memorial Cup, Craig?
They're a top team. Nobody should be surprised about Edmonton, emerging from the Western Hockey League as champions, and then you look at the additions they made over the course of the season, specifically on the blue line. Caden Gooley, the most valuable player. Luke Prokop came over from the Calgary Hitmen. So, they just solidified a critical area of their team. Their goaltending is excellent. But when you go to the Memorial Cup now, 3 teams are league champions, and so they're good and they're strong. And the real interesting thing for me, Rick, will be the health of Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther is a game breaker. Dylan is a player that can make things happen really quickly offensively, whether on the power play or at 5-on-5. So, watching him walk around during the celebration with a brace on his leg didn't look good, but that doesn't mean anything. Maybe he's able to get in there and play. I mean, obviously he will help, but even without Dylan Guenther, it's a really strong team. And I mentioned the 2 defensemen, up front. Justin Sardoff has had an excellent year with the Edmonton Oil Kings. Once you went over there, Jake Neighbors, they got a really good team over there. And so they're not going to go to the Memorial Cup and hope. They have expectations to win. I think their expectations would be a little bit higher if they had Dylan Guenther in the lineup, because the Memorial Cup's hard.
Yeah. Stanley Cup Final Game 1. I asked this of Noodles yesterday. Avs and Lightning. Give me a Lightning weakness. They got Braden Point back today.
A Lightning weakness. Mm-hmm. What would be the Lightning
good
weakness?
Question.
It's a great question. And honestly, I can't think of one. If we go back to the last series, you could say, the penalty kill, when you think about the first couple of games, and then they only gave up 5 goals in the last 4 games, but 4 of them were on the power play. So I guess going into this series, that would be an area that John Cooper really has to focus in on. Now, John Cooper and the Tampa Bay Lightning are also a very disciplined team. They're not going to take careless, penalties. They're hopeful to take ones that take away a scoring chance where you just have to do it. But they don't take those needless, careless penalties for the most part. Mm-hmm. But a team with the offensive talent that the Colorado Avalanche have, the penalty killing for the Tampa Bay Lightning, that would be the area that I would say going into this series that they got to really focus in on. And conversely, Colorado, if they get that opportunity, I think if they can draw some penalties and then make them pay on the power play, it can open up even more ice for the Colorado Avalanche and swing the game a little bit more in their favor. And that's where it becomes incumbent upon the Tampa Bay Lightning to have a better penalty kill.
You like Tampa Bay in this series, Craig?
I do. At the beginning of the season, Donnie and Rick, I had Colorado and Tampa Bay in the final.
Wow.
I mean, I think a lot of people did, right? I mean, when you look at teams at the beginning of the year, obviously they strengthen their teams at the trade deadline and whatnot. And even at the beginning of the playoffs, I still had Colorado winning out over Tampa Bay. Not anymore. As much as I love Colorado's team, I think that Tampa Bay Lightning are poised for the three-peat.
Yeah, they just don't get phased by anything. Craig, thanks so much for doing this. Have a fun Game 7. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, talk to you next week.